Welcome to this episode of the No Print Management Podcast. And I'm joined by our CEO, Vaclav Muchna.
Hello, everyone.
Vaclav, I wonder if you might do a quick introduction for the people around your background and how long you've been with Y Soft.
So again, my name is Vaclav. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Y Soft. Started the company 23 years ago already. So my background is software engineering. Used to be a developer. Started the company and then kind of grew into this role. And now we are here in a completely next phase of Y Soft. Obviously, we're all talking about cloud, and it's exciting journey that actually turned out to be a whole lot more complicated than I could have ever imagined.
I think through this podcast, we've talked to a number of different industry leaders about what's happening in the world, and we've had all these impressions. And it feels now, coming to the end of 2023, the right time to try and have a recap of some of those conversations, but also finally to get Y Soft on record for what do we mean by no print management. Our partners have given us their interpretations, have talked to us about the industry trends that are happening. But I'm interested, maybe we could start with, where did no print management come from? Where did the tagline come from? Because it's kind of your own original idea, right?
Right, yeah, it really comes from the meetings with customers. So I think the thing is, any other CEO, I spend a lot of time with our customers and partners, and I try to get the feeling for the vibe, like what is the notion in the industry. And I don't mean necessarily print management or printing or anything related to print, but in general, what's on the plates of IT, who is typical our customer, who typically runs SafeQ, and where the whole thing is moving. And I had a number of these meetings, and more and more, I start to hear things like, when I ask them, like, where do you want to go, or what do you need, what are you missing? More and more, I start to hear from the end customers typically that what we are missing is that it's just so complicated to upgrade and update SafeQ. And I start to hear, like, yeah, if we have really large customers, I remember one, and they just quoted, like, we have 200 site servers, and upgrading the whole thing takes so much time. And we have all the other important things on our plate. And then you really start to see what's happening broader in the industry. And you start to see that the role of IT is changing, or maybe has changed. And the interesting thing about it is that I've heard all that from our customers. And then I looked at our own IT, and I just asked myself, like, what I want from IT. And we have all big integrations and automation that will really help us to drive the top line. And I was thinking, like, what if I reach out to our head of IT, and I ask him that I need to do all these automations that will really help drive the top line, and he tells me, like, sorry, Vaso, we don't have time. We upgrade 200 site servers. And I thought, like, yeah. And I thought, like, to be honest, I thought, like, hey, printing is really not important. And then I started to think, like, okay, so you know what? The next step for me is, let's get rid of printers. I mean, we're a technological company, so why can't we get rid of printers? And I tried.
It's a strange thing to say when what you sell is printing-related solutions, when all of our biggest partners are printing-related vendors, to say printing's not important. Like, do you feel that's a controversial or intentionally kind of provocative statement, or you think that's just the reality that our customers see?
I thought it's a reality at Y Soft, and I wanted to sort of challenge it to understand where our business is working, going, and where is our place. So I really did that. But here's the funny part. When I start to talk about that, and when people realize that I'm serious, they start to freak out, sort of. And they said, like, no, we really cannot remove printers. It's like HR or finance, like, Vaclav, we got completely crazy. So it actually didn't work. And we cannot remove printers. It's still important. So from the net of it, and this is what I've heard from the customer, printing is not really important as long as the organization can print. At the moment where the organization cannot print, the print starts to become the most important thing on the planet. But on the other hand, most of the time, the printing works and people print, companies print. So that means that for most of the time, it's not that important. And that's what kind of helped to create the no print management slogan. That it's not no print, because print still is inevitable and probably will remain inevitable for many years to come. But at the same time, in a normal life, IT has just completely different tasks. IT is not support department anymore. For most of the companies, IT has tasks that are directly related to top line. And from that standpoint, even our customers started to ask us, the best thing Y Soft can do is that you guys will remove the necessity of managing the printers, and the printers not physically. That's what already our partners handle with the MPS concepts. But they still need to run print server. They still need to manage the print drivers.
They still need to deploy the print queues. And the idea was like, okay, so we cannot get rid of printers, but we may serve our customers in a way where we remove the need of managing the print environment, the servers, the drivers, the print queues, and so on. And that's how print management came to this world.
So take me inside then, the first time you start to talk to a customer and you use the words no print management, despite ostensibly we are a print management selling vendor. So the first time you say that, are customers universally nodding, agreeing, accepting, or do you get some pushback, some questions about really what do you mean?
So first of all, I don't think we are selling a print management. We used to sell a print management, but I think that what happened is that we already moved to infrastructure business. So we used to be a print management company, but now we are more of an infrastructure management company. We manage the printing infrastructure for our partners. And to be honest, I cannot recall a customer who would tell me like, Václav, no, that's wrong. I remember a couple interesting discussions when I talked about that, and the customers are nodding and they're saying yes, yes, yes. One big police department, our customer that runs SafeQ for many, many years, and they told me this is exactly what we would love to do, but we cannot, because you know what, we are a police department. It's security. We cannot have data in cloud. It's all about security. And then I realized that they are just upgrading SafeQ 4 to SafeQ 6, right? So there are interesting conversations like that, and you have sometimes pushbacks on topics like security and stuff. But then you ask the question, so how often do you actually upgrade SafeQ? And how about all the zero-day vulnerabilities, the log4js that we all remember? And you have like every quarter something like that. And then the customers start to realize that it's not really only about managing the print drivers, managing the print queues, but it's also about how often they upgrade. And because it takes time, they don't do it. And then the security is really just perceived. It's just a feeling. But the real security comes mainly from the fact that everything is upgraded. That's just the cornerstone of any security, right? It's not enough. You need to do more. But it's the absolute baseline. If you don't have that baseline, you're never going to be secure, whatever else you do. And I think that when you start to bring these things to attention of the customers, they really start to look at the whole thing from a completely different perspective.
And so thinking then about my experience with our sales team, the first time I started to talk no print management to our sales team, and I got terrible looks from them, like, what the hell are you talking about, Adam? This is not a message that marketing can put out. You can't start talking like this. How have you seen the message change with our sales team and the way that they are ultimately mostly interacting with our partners? How have you seen that kind of evolution of understanding of what we mean and the improvements in the way we're talking about it?
I think the reason is that when you start to talk to our sales team about this topic, they were selling print management. So obviously from someone who sells print management, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But that's the thing. We are not selling print management anymore. We are not any longer a print management company. We're infrastructure management company. Or actually, we have two offerings. So if you, your customer, want to manage your print, if you have the time, if your IT is support-oriented, here is SafeQ6. Here is the tool. There's all the features and functions that you need so that you can manage your print environment. But when we look at what really resonates on the markets, most of the markets, especially maybe Western Europe, US, Australia, then the second offering is really infrastructure. We're not talking about you still need secure print. You still want to have some basic reporting or something. But that's not what, this is like compliance. It's just like, it just works. It just needs to work. That's it. Because if it doesn't work, then you're actually creating more work for IT. If you don't have compliance, you create more work for IT. So that doesn't like deliver on the mission of no print management. But if you do it, then clearly we just remove the work from IT. So we are infrastructure management company. And I think that when our salespeople, whether Y Soft salespeople or whether even our partner sales, start to understand that in cloud we are not selling SafeQ or we're not selling print management, but we're infrastructure management company. Then they start to understand what we mean by no print management. And I think the really important thing is that we really want to distinguish between the old world. Do you want to manage? Here you have SafeQ6. And the new world, you don't have time for print management. Here is SafeQ Cloud. Mm-hmm. And one thing, from a marketing standpoint, to kind of challenge you back, I think SafeQ Cloud, maybe it was a mistake to call it SafeQ Cloud. Because SafeQ Cloud, and I think that's the whole net of it, SafeQ Cloud is not SafeQ in cloud. And if someone understands that SafeQ Cloud is SafeQ in cloud, then no print management doesn't make any sense. But SafeQ Cloud is not SafeQ in cloud.
I think you're right. It's an interesting thing around the way we position and describe our products. And I think actually the way our sales team are evolving, no print management tends to be the message they lead with. It's not product names, it's not service descriptions. It's actually, let us describe this mission that Y Soft has and what we're trying to achieve. Do you think of us as having finished, delivered on no print management? Or do you think there's still a way to go?
I think we're just at the beginning. I think no print management for us is a long-term commitment to our customers, that we strive to really remove the things. There are a lot more things that we can do, a lot more things that we can automate. So I really think we're just starting. It shouldn't be taken literally. It should be understood as our long-term mission that we want to deliver on, a long-term commitment.
And what do you see as the role of the channel partners that we work with in delivering on that long-term commitment? How do you see their role and what value we can deliver for them?
That is something what I sometimes hear that is maybe a little bit misunderstood about the whole no print management concept. Because if you talk about no print management to the customers, they nod. Every one of them, almost every one of them. But if you talk about the two partners, sometimes you have like a little bit of pushback. And so far we have been talking about the customer reaction, right? But the important thing is that partners need to understand that no print management is not a value proposition from us to our partner. No print management is a value proposition on Y Soft and the partner, and together we are proposing this to the customer. So from a partner standpoint, the no print management is rather a partnership that together, us and the partner, what are all the other things we can do together to further simplify the customer experience and remove the need of print management. And I think that if we do that, we really remove together with our partners, we can remove some of the frictions that print is causing. And by the token, we can really deliver significant value to our customers, because then they will be able to really focus on things that generate top line.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're really seeing that transition in the customers that in the partners that I'm talking to. This initial kind of almost resistance, not quite understanding how we meant and what the role for them was and how they should use it, and now increasingly seeing an adoption across the partners Hopefully this no print management podcast has helped in driving some of that adoption and helping people to interpret things. There's one piece you touched on in there where you said mostly the customers nod, but there are some customers who don't nod. I wonder if you could give us a few bars on the customers that don't nod, why they don't nod, and what it is about those kinds of customers that means they don't want to go to cloud. They don't want to go to an infrastructure provider doing everything for them.
I think it's a lot related to the regions. So this vibe you get from regions that have very cheap price of labor.
Mm-hmm.
So literally sometimes we hear, hey, this automation doesn't make any sense because if I need to throw in 2 headcounts into IT, it doesn't cost anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the nature of the areas where we get pushback. In some other areas, you may have a pushback either on security or maybe the general readiness.
And security would be like a government or a bank, or what kind of customers are pushing on?
Yeah, typically those who perceive like we shouldn't be giving up our documents to cloud. But I think that's just a perception, because then you ask them, and are you using Office 365? Are you using OneDrive or SharePoint? And they say, yes, we do. You look at where they have their emails, and they use Exchange server in cloud, hosted by Microsoft. So I think it's just that print is kind of very traditional market that's coming late. There is not a whole lot of penetration in terms of cloud printing. Most of the organizations, they still use print servers. So I think that's just that caution, because there is not a whole lot of precedence. But if you really dig into it and you start to analyze, so what does it mean? And which way we are more secured, then typically, most often, we are able to remove that concern. Mm-hmm. And obviously for government customers, our intention is, and we're doing it, good example could be in UK, where we have a possibility to host it in UK government cloud that is specifically for government organizations. I think that's it's pretty natural process. And
I think it's a new place where we actually have to do quite a lot of education of partners, of customers, and of our sales teams around terms like data sovereignty that I hadn't come across even a couple of years ago. And now it's front and center of, hey, when you're talking to a government customer, you've absolutely got to be able to deliver a UK GovCloud instance, for example. So
that actually reminds me, 20-something years ago when we started, Y Soft pretty much started about the notion of, or around the notion of moving from the old analog copiers to this digital IP-connected multifunction printers. And I remember my first presentation about SafeQ, the subtitle was not no print management, but the tagline was from screwdrivers to keyboards. And the partner message was, yeah, you used screwdrivers and you know exactly how the things work inside. But now you need to know what is IP address. Now you need to know what is Active Directory. And the old analog copier world had no idea. And literally, the training for SafeQ was from 60% training about Active Directory, IP address, and things like that. It was a massive change to the industry, and they had to completely change the way how they think. And it was a big challenge. And when I look at the market today, I actually kind of feel similar. Maybe the jump is not that big. I think the jump is pretty big, maybe even comparable, but it's not as visible. Mm-hmm. Because we're talking about the transition of the technical people who used to live in the world of Active Directory, and that doesn't exist anymore. IP address or firewalls, right? You have completely different challenges, the data sovereignty, and so on. And the scale of redoing or relearning, going back to school and starting from scratch, I think the scope is kind of similar, but it feels like with the screwdriver, it is apparent, right? You have completely different set of skills. I think in cloud is similar, but it's not as apparent, and that's what makes it a little bit more challenging. That the change is not that apparent, so that not as many people really understand that we have to change a lot. And you said talking with our frontline teams, I think last 2 or 3 years, internally we went through a massive change. And to be honest, I thought this is going to be for 6 months. And we are probably 3rd or even 4th year in that transformation. And it turned out to be a whole lot bigger project than I ever anticipated.
It's interesting hearing about the transformation that's taken place internally. I wonder if you might give me a few moments on the future of no print management, the future of our offering, and then maybe I'll ask you to close with a tight definition of what no print management means.
So where we are going, I think we pretty much discussed it. So recapping, no print management is a start. We started. No print management is a commitment. It's a mission. Very often when I talk with our R&D guys, I talk to them and I tell them, and I repeat it again and again, guys, there is one thing what I want from you, and that is that IT doesn't know about printing, and that's the mission. That's where we are going. So it's a lot about automation. We discussed that we are no longer a print management company. We are infrastructure management company. We're going to be definitely looking at how to add more value. So to drive more customer value, because once we have the infrastructure, I think it's pretty logical that you're looking at what else can you do using that infrastructure and automation. So at this moment, I see ourselves that we are really at platform level. We're really building the basics, the basic platform, so that we can scale up with our partners. And the next step for us will be to kind of look at higher value add things to it, maybe around scanning, maybe about data protection, data leakage prevention. We're definitely looking into AI. How can we use AI in all the different parts of what we are doing? So there is a lot, but the reason why I don't like being more specific is that I still feel that we are at the beginning. I think we have achieved pretty good progress, but I think that I don't want to dilute the focus on removing the need of print management from IT. And I think that neatly answers your last question, like what is print management, and that means what is no print management, and that means like what's our mission, and when is the right time when we start to adding a whole lot more new things, and the answer is very simple. When our customers will tell us, "Oh, we have printers? I didn't know that, but they still print."
Yeah, I think that's a perfect answer. Vaclav, thank you very much for joining me. It's been really useful. Hopefully our listeners too.
Thank you very much for having me today.